James McDonald,
Here.
Jolene Brink,
Here.
Kathy Bickenhuser, Paul Filicetti,
Here.
Julia McCarthy McClaverty,
Here.
Joshua Pollering, Steve Adler, Solomon Martin, Bruce Haraldson.
Great. All right, thank you. First on the agenda is approval of the minutes of the July 5th meeting. We didn't have a meeting last month in August, so it'll be that meeting. Is any corrections or additions?
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes from July 5th as written.
Okay. All right. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay. Great. So, all right. Is there any public comment other than what's on the agenda tonight? So you're both on the agenda, so I guess. So, all right. Well, we'll go right into new business, and I guess Matt, you're going to update us about Fort Missoula. Yeah. Yeah. And please state your name and all that stuff.
The first one I'd like to mention is
I was actually in the hospital this fall. The company that I work for was thinking about maybe buying it as a headquarters, and I know that the roof was caving in one of the rooms. Do you know if there's any plan to do anything this winter to stop that from further damage, or what's?
You know, I have a Western Montana mental health would probably be the one to talk to. I don't, you know, we have not been approached about the building. Like I said, I know that there's definitely an interest from the preservation organizations in the fort in making sure that that building obviously remains upright and conserved. But at this point, none of us have been approached about the building or any upkeep or maintenance of it.
Yeah, It's a gorgeous building.
It's a fabulous building.
Yeah.
Have you heard of anyone else who is interested? Because technically it's owned by Montana Mental Health, but it's zoned OP3, which means that it can only be used for specific uses, which I know is inhibitive for certain buyers. Have you heard of anything?
It's interesting you mention that. We actually had a father and son that stopped in the museum today that were curious about the building, and they were wondering about the historic overlays for the district. So I actually gave them the number and sent them your way.
Good.
They were from Savannah, Georgia, and they didn't say what they were interested in the building for.
Huh.
They did express an interest, and before they considered making an offer or really considered purchasing the building, they wanted to know what their historic overlays being in the historic district. And I don't know that information, so usually I'll just pass them on to you. So you should be getting a call.
Good. Thank you.
Anything else for Matt? Okay, well, thank you.
Okay. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Matt.
Next one is Helen. It's going to do. Yeah. It says 3 people here, but you're the only one. So.
I know. Want. Sorry. Nothing.
No.
My name is Alan Gold. I'm vice chair of the Missoula Downtown Foundation. I think he's asked me to come here today to talk a little bit about,
Is that microphone on? Is it?
is this on? I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. Is it green? The light?
What's that?
Is the light green?
Now it is.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you.
Anyway, again, my name is Alan Newell, and I'm vice chair of the Missoula Downtown Foundation. And I'm here to talk a little bit about an interpretive plan that we are submitting an application to the Montana Tourism Bureau to fund for the Missoula downtown area. So I thought I'd give you just a little bit of background. Some of you, well, actually were in our discussions throughout this last year and a half, so you probably know about this, but for others who don't. About a year and a half ago, a number of us began to get together to think about how we could look at promoting heritage in the downtown, particularly, given all of the changes that are going on. Obviously, the Missoula Merc is one, but there's other things that are happening too, particularly if you look at what's going on Front Street. A lot of money being invested. And, you know, in many respects, it's a very, very good thing for the community, but it also means there are going to be numerous changes that those of us who have been here 50 years or more are going to see, and are seeing right now. So the question really is, how can we build awareness for the heritage of the downtown, which I think has been demonstrated by any number of people, not just those living or working in the downtown, but throughout the community. And how can we do it in ways that are, you know, perhaps not as divisive or confrontational as what we saw with the Merc. So one of the things we began to talk about were some of the things that we might be able to plug into in terms of the downtown. Obviously, the Merc is going to have its muse, and you folks probably know a lot more about that than what I do. But there's also the new library that's going to have an opportunity to perhaps provide some venue for downtown heritage and interpretation. We're going to have a lot more people in the downtown, younger people with Rome, and obviously with the Merc and at least with visitors. So one of the things that we came up, we thought about a lot of different things, but the first thing that we talked about, and I should say that Jim was involved in this, Jolene's been involved, Emmy's been involved in the beginning. We've also had council members involved and county commissioner involved too. But it's been sort of orchestrated by the Downtown Missoula Partnership. And I assume most of you know that the partnership is the administrative arm for the Business Improvement District, the Missoula Downtown Foundation, and the Missoula Downtown Association. So the Downtown Partnership is that administrative umbrella for those organizations. So they've hosted or provided the home for our discussions. So what we were thinking about initially was to provide some kind of immediate success story, if you will. And we really played off of the program that I think it was it the commission? I know, Emmy, you were involved last September, but I know, Jim, you were with the tours of the basements of the downtown. And it was very successful, obviously. I think the number was 1,000 or something that were queued up to visit that. And there's been repeated interest in it since that event last September. So our thought was, well, let's think about having some guided downtown tours. And we've done that over the summer. It started in June, late May, actually, early June. And they've been running pretty successfully all summer long, and they're going to continue through the fall. In addition, we have, through an app that I'm involved in, have a digital tour as well that we've labeled as Unseen Missoula, which is the name of the program. So I think we've shown that there's pretty good success, pretty good interest in terms of the guided tours and the unguided tours in the downtown. Now the question is, where do we go on the next step? And one of the ways that we think that we can begin to bring together some of the pieces of this. I should also mention that Emmy's work with the pop-up museum in the Hammond Arcade building has been very successful as well. And I think you've had at least 2 Missoula Downtown Tonights in there.
Second one is tomorrow night.
Oh, tomorrow night, okay. Well, you've got one and one more to go to. But anyway, it's been very successful. And so we've got a pop-up museum as well. And the thing that we're thinking about now is how do we begin to bring some of these pieces together, look at the changes that are going to be going on with the new buildings, particularly again with the library, and we're thinking about how we can curate storytelling and that sort of thing. In addition, we're looking at the update for the master plan, which I guess, was it today or tomorrow, that there's going to be a city, what is it? You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, a discussion of the master plan. I guess they'll be announcing whoever they have selected. Maybe some of you know. I don't. But anyway, the master plan is going to be updated. And we think that an interpretive plan, a heritage plan for the downtown, it's an appropriate time to do that. It'll fit well with this, these efforts and provide sort of a backdrop to a lot of the things that we began talking about a year and a half ago. So with that in mind, Historical Research Associates, which Josh is a member of, and which I was a founder of 45 years ago, whenever it was. When was it? 44. 70. You know more than I know. Anyway, I'm no longer associated with it. But anyway, HRA has graciously offered to, they've been participating, by the way, throughout this effort during the last year or so, but they have graciously offered to prepare the the heritage interpretive plan. And we're kind of calling it a heritage cultural plan. And the reason for that is that back at the time we did the initial master plan 10 years ago, there was an effort to do a cultural plan as well, and there just wasn't sufficient funding to be able to do that. So we've, at this point, we're trying to label it heritage cultural plan, interpretive plan. And we're applying for a grant, as I say, from the Tourism Bureau. The Missoula Downtown, those grants, by the way, are 2 to 1. You have to put up cash. Yeah, so it's not a full ride. The Missoula Downtown Foundation has put up the cash portion of it, has agreed to do that. HRA estimates that it'll be, typically these plans run anywhere from $40,000 to $45,000 to $50,000. HRA's agreed to do it for $25,000. So that's what we're going to submit our grant application to the state for. And again, the MDF has put up $8,500 or something like that for the match. That grant will go in sometime later this month, and we probably won't know until November whether or not we get it. And if we get it, I assume we'd start sometime the first of the year. So now I might even ask Josh if he knows more about what these interpretive plans involve than I do, because the people who know more about it, Jimmy Grant, is not here tonight. But from what I think what Jimmy wanted me to say is to make sure that you understand that what the plan is really, it really kind of follows along with the master plan update. It is an effort to define what are the heritage elements, the cultural elements of the downtown that stakeholders, which is really any number of groups and individuals, desire, and then how those can best be interpreted and how they can be brought together, what kind of medium can be used, how can it be done. It is not, the plan is not an implementation. In other words, you're not going to see at the end of the day HRA writing the interpretation for the downtown or anything else. It's more to bring the various pieces together and get the stakeholders' involvement in it. And in that sense, it really does follow nicely with the master plan update, because what the people who will be doing that will be doing is having lots of meetings with, and lots of open houses with folks, with stakeholders, and our effort, should we be successful with this, will kind of run along parallel with that. I can't tell you a time frame. Again, I would think that if we got the grant, it'd be sometime the first of the year, and probably by late spring, it would be completed. So that's basically what we're trying to do. And I think it's the foundation itself, when I presented this to the foundation, they were very excited about supporting this. They feel this is exactly what the foundation was set up for. So I'm really pleased with that. I think that, you know, it shows a real commitment to the downtown. I should say also, just that people don't know, the unseen tours that began in the summer were funded by this commission, also by the BID and the MDA. They put up, I think it was $35,000 or $4,000 or something to get it started. We also got a grant from the county, from the museum, and that was helpful. But there's been a real commitment from the organizations that are working in the downtown to try and bring a little bit more exposure to heritage and to culture in the downtown, and maybe help us deal with all the changes that at least I see, if not just the traffic. So with that, any questions? Or I will say that we are getting letters from HRA, but also from Dave Strohmeyer, County Commission, from Brian Van Osberg, who's council president. We are going to ask, we would like to have a letter from this board supporting our effort that will go in with the grant as well. So, and again, I think I don't know precisely when it's due. I think it's right towards the end of the month. So, but I can get back to you on that. So, that's what I know.
Good. Any questions or comments? Okay.
Yeah.
The grant is due at the end of September, so you're hoping that by the first of the year?
Yeah, my understanding from the last time I looked at the grant process is they make a decision in November. And I would just saying that, you know, with the holidays and that, if we were to get it, I would suspect that it'd probably be the first of the year that we'd start. Okay?
Well, thank you, Alan.
Yep, okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. And I just want to add that, I don't know if you guys have read the downtown master plan in the past, but it pretty much leaves out historic preservation and heritage entirely. And that's something that we've been talking about a lot, and that's something that we've been trying to make present. And I think that the tours and everything we've been doing has made that present. So we've been kind of riding that wave of, this is something that is important. This is something that should be included in the downtown plan. This is something that hasn't been included previously, and this is what we're going to do about it. And I think that Alan's been an incredible person to bring that on, and we've been working really hard on that, so thank you.
I might add one other thing before I turn this thing off, is there was some discussion early on about the idea of trying to do something for the whole community, and I think my feeling was that was too much to chew at one time. But if we're successful with this plan, there isn't any reason, I think, in fact, there's all a reason to think that this is a model that can be taken to other parts of the community where we have historic districts, and working with neighborhood councils, have it develop from them, from sponsorship from them. If we're successful in this kind of a grant, I see no reason why it can't be duplicated and additional grants be available for other parts of the community. So again, I think we've got excellent support from the downtown, and I think what we really need is that support from the neighborhood councils in order to expand it. So
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you. See ya. All right, great. Guess next on the agenda is old business, preservation plan, and nothing new on that.
Alan's, just to go back to Alan's comment about the letter of support, do we want to have a discussion about that? I'm certainly in favor of it.
Yeah, I guess, we're probably gonna have to vote on that or something, but I'm sure everybody's.
I actually didn't know that we were writing a letter of support, but let's talk about that. Yep.
Yeah. Well, I guess if people agree that Amy and I
Absolutely.
can put something together and support the plan, I mean, we're pretty familiar with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And whoever else wants to help, but I don't know that we need a motion. I think we can go ahead and do that. Is that okay with everybody? Are there any specific things that you want in a letter that we might feel is important? Anybody? Okay. All right. Yeah.
Paul, do you and Jim want to take the lead on that?
Well, we can get some, we can
Great.
get some. So, if you could let us know when it's due or when they need the letter, we can get that. That'd be great. Okay? All right, thank you. All right, education and public awareness, got a First Friday coming up here. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so tomorrow, which is straight where I came from tonight, I don't know how many of you know Linda Lennox, but she worked for Walford Sign for many decades, and I met her at a Christmas party last year, and she started telling me about her collection of historic sign sketches and renderings of Missoula, and she wants them to be seen. And back in 2013, she had a show at historic HMFM back at the fort, and that hasn't been shown since. So I thought that'd be a great thing for the pop-up museum and for First Friday. And so we're showing over 100 signs and renderings and drawings tomorrow night for First Friday. We do need volunteers if anyone wants to come and join. The last First Friday we had down there, which was for May Historic Preservation Month, it was incredibly successful. We had a couple hundred people, but maybe the younger folk found out about it, which is fine, but we do need ID checkers now at the door. So that's a new thing that we need now, and I ordered a stamp to stamp people. So volunteers for that. Western Cider is donating cider for the event, and it'll be from 5 to 8 tomorrow at the pop-up museum in the Hammond basement. And I think it'll be a really great event, and it'll be fun, and tell everyone, and please come and show your support. And even if you just want to come and keep an eye out that people aren't touching, or just people being aware would be great. So please come, and that'll be something tomorrow. So
Is it going to be up for a while too, to show every time?
yeah, it'll be up for through the fall, and that's where we end all of the unseen tours. So that's what everyone's going to see when they end the tours. As far as public, it just takes staffing and time to open it up. So if we want to open it up again, we sure can. I just need volunteers to to do that. So, yep.
Great, thank you. And then the Walk and Roll Week, we're going to do a A.J. Gibson bike tour again. It seemed to be pretty popular and had people call and want to do it. They didn't do it last time, so I will be doing that with, John's going to help, right? And we'll do that on, the time though, what did we determine for the time?
So it's the same time as we did it. I think it's 1 o'clock
1 o'clock?
on Saturday
Okay,
in front of the courthouse.
yeah.
And we said 2 hours for that. It'd be great if everyone could show up with their bikes.
Yeah.
I'll be there, Jim will be
Yeah,
there.
It was a great tour, and
Yeah.
we were able to get around construction and everything else that was going on, and it seemed to work fine, so,
And we're going to have a map this time that we
Yeah.
can give to people.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, good. Okay, good. Preserve Historic Missoula's not here, any other, do you have anything from them, or? I don't think they've been meeting yet this fall yet. They didn't meet during the summer, so I'm sure that's why they're not here, so, okay.
yeah, I haven't heard anything.
Right. Staff report. I tried to get the staff report off the website, and it just wouldn't come up.
Oh, really?
I
Shoot.
don't know if anybody else you tried to and you couldn't get it?
And it didn't? So I was booted off of it today, too.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, the only thing that came up was the agenda. Everything else I couldn't get into.
I think that was the city,
Oh,
and we've been having problems, and we had a problem for a while today, and I just left and went to the pop-up and worked on that. So, but I can read it to you guys. As far as the demo ordinance update that was passed by City Council, that was on the 23rd of July. So that'll be taking effect into ordinance the next week, which is pretty exciting. Next, as far as policy and law, we're going to be shifting into the bylaws, which I've talked about, but we haven't actually acted on yet. So that'll follow a similar process. So I think that'll be a good fall, winter project. And they haven't been updated since, I think, 87, if I remember right. But there's been lots of drafts of updates throughout the years, and we can implement that pretty easily. The Moon Randolph Homestead, the UM Archaeology Anthropology Department finished doing their field school, and they conducted HABS quality measure drawings of the Randolph farmhouse. Part of the steering committee, and we met back in August, working on new interpretive signage. And the parks crew is planning on stabilizing the barn this fall, which I wanted to ask Bruce if he was willing to help out with that, but we can talk about that later. They're following what we all did for the May meeting, and we finally got a group with funding to actually stabilize the barn, so that's pretty exciting. And just bare minimum what we can do to keep it upright. We decided that we're going to continue the Historic Preservation Intern Program for next summer, which is exciting because Tina was awesome and gave us so much. And the fall gathering for the homestead will be on the 22nd of September at 4. And that's a really fun party, so I suggest everyone goes. As far as Unseen Missoula, Alan kind of covered that, but the tours are going great. We're still sold out through the fall. We're doing it only Saturdays, but we're still hiring an additional intern and 4 new tour guides just because the demand is there. Like I said, if you guys ever want to go, just let me know. You can be free and we can get you on any tour you want to do. Again, we're looking for any additional tour stops. Paul, thank you for reaching out. Still waiting to hear back, but they're going to bring it up at the Masonic Lodge about that. That would be a great addition. We have partnered with the University of Montana Public History class. It's a graduate class, 593 HSTR, and they're going to be writing tour scripts and working with us on themes and deliverables. So it's really great. It was last week, we gave them, the class, a tour, and then we sat around in a circle and talked about, what does this mean for public history? How do we interpret this? How do we make this something that people can understand and interpret and take away? So that's going to be one of their main projects this year, which is really helpful for us. And then Alan and I, who you just met, are going to do a presentation on the 10th about public history and how this came to be. If anyone wants to join, you're welcome. We're hoping to extend the tours year-round. I think there is a demand, so we're still working on that. And then the First Friday show is tomorrow, and I hope everyone comes from 5 to 8. We have some incredible sketches and drawings from signage of Missoula from the 40s. We have the Florence and the Mercantile signage that were hand-drawn, and just Red's Bar, everything that you can think of when it comes to historic signage. So please come and spread the word. Well, none of the actual neon signs are there, but it was all the drawings for the historic neon signs of Missoula, which is incredible. I was just reading a book, and it's called The History of Neon. It's called Flickering Light, and it's not even about Montana or Missoula at all. It was written by a German author, and the very first chapter is about Missoula, Montana, and it's called A Cry from Rattlesnake Gulch from 1943. And that's the very first sentence of the book, is how someone called the fire department when they lit up the Florence sign on top, because they thought that the Florence was on fire. So we have a pretty neat history here when it comes to neon signage. Walk and Roll Week, like Jim said, we're going to do the A.J. Gibson tour. We're working on a map, and there's lots more to go for that. Fort Missoula, I think Matt covered that pretty well. We did do the expedited HP permit for the Forester's Woodshed, and I'm hoping everyone got that email for that, for the review of that. Okay, great. They just applied for a grant from the Montana Cultural Trust, which I partnered with, and we, as the Historic Preservation Office, wrote a letter of recommendation for the Grant Creek Schoolhouse, which is needing some maintenance on their cladding on the exterior. The Mercantile restoration has started on the pharmacy portion. I am trying my hardest to review the submitted plans for that, although they are very limited, so we don't have much that we can hold them to, if I can say that. I did a site inspection on the 30th of August, but again, legally, we don't have much that we can say. But as of right now, it looks like it's doing well. They did take out the bottom portion, and it's because it was claimed that it was not historically part of that time, and it will be replaced in kind, as well as the front wood molding, which will be metal. But I'm fighting for the molding with the indents, which have little dentals and incredible details, and we're going to keep that. So that's something that I'm keeping my eye on hard, but it is challenging. The Radius Gallery is in charge of the Merc artifacts, And we did have those artifacts in the pop-up museum in the Hammond, which we're going to have the sign show at. And they picked those up on July 24th. Technically, they're owned by the Mercantile, so those are now with the Radius. Moving on to the fairgrounds, restoration work has commenced on the commercial building and culinary building. Other projects, still working with Verizon Wireless for the cellular antenna. It was going to be on the listed building, which is 424 North Higgins, but we've walked and talked and walked and talked through it. And now we've switched it to the building which is north of Spruce, where MCAT is out of. So that's not listed and it's not historic or contributing. So that's a good thing. We received the replacement of the East Pine Historic District sign, which was vandalized earlier this summer. And this one came with a kind of plexiglass type cover, which will be stronger against vandalism. And then they sent us a cover for the other one of East Pine Street too. So that'll be good. Let's see, in the past 2 months, because we didn't meet in August, I was invited to do an informational presentation on the new ordinance, Unseen Missoula and Historic Preservation in general, to the Open Lands Committee, which is county, the Community Forum, which is the neighborhood forum for the city, and the Kiwanis Club. Like I said last time, we joined the National Trust as Leadership Forum, so we do have discounts for anyone who wants to join as an individual member, and it's discounted by like $200. And if you want to go to the conference, you can get a discount of about $300 for that. So just let me know and I can give you the number for that, and we're all members, which is pretty fun. The conference will be on November 13th through 16th this year, and I am going, and I hope that someone else goes. It'll be fun. It's in San Francisco, so West Coast. And then Stories and Stones is happening again, which is fantastic, on Sunday, September 16th from 12:30 to 3:30, and I'm sure Paul may have some things to say about that. And then also, I've been talking about this every month, but we're actually making headway on the Missoula Historic Preservation Interpretation Map online. We're about 75% there, and that just comes with a lot of data entry and photo entry and hours of entry when it comes to GIS. But it'll look similar to the one that Bozeman has, and it'll actually even be a little bit better because you can click on a property and it'll have a picture, and then you can click and it'll have the nomination and all the facts about that. So we're almost there for that, and that's what we've been working on. Yeah.
I have a question for the unseen tours. How many people can you accommodate per tour?
We're doing about 12 to 20, so we're cutting it off at 20.
Okay.
But we would like to cut it off at 12. When we hit 12, it takes us actually, we don't have the technology to cut it on its own, so we have to go in every day and say it's sold out. And we'd like it to be 12, but if 20 people registered overnight, then we'll cut it off at 20, except for when 50 people register overnight, which has happened a few times. So, yep. Mm-hmm.
Talking about signs, should have asked Matt, whatever happened to the entrance sign before it's done?
What?
That entrance sign on the corner?
The historic entrance sign? The old parade grounds sign, or?
The sign on the original entrance up at Missoula Street,
Yeah.
that little sign.
That is news to me. That was there. Yeah. There were some complaints by the fire department because the weeds were so bad and it was really dry. And if someone threw a cigarette or something, the whole thing would go up in fire. And the Parks Department wasn't claiming responsibility for that. And we went through a whole rigmarole, but it was never that the sign was going to be taken away. So thank you for taking that to my attention.
Being signed next to the fire department. The
original entrance, so between two stone piers. As of last night, I didn't see it. I haven't seen it, and it disappeared last night.
Okay, good to know. I will follow up on that tomorrow because that's like 1934 CCC sign, I think, right?
No, we put that in, when I came here in 1971, and started this in 72. You entered through that original entrance, and Reserve Street was up, and there was still cross traffic in Vancouver. So about, I don't know how many years later, they closed that entrance, and put in a new entrance, so it's down about walking inside of the sign there, and then we had a sign made for that entrance.
Okay.
It was the original Port River entrance, and so now it's on the sign.
Okay, good.
But the stones are from there.
Yeah, oh, okay.
There's nothing across it before. We just put that in to let people know that it's the original entrance.
Interesting.
Okay.
Hmm.
All right. Any other questions on this? Okay. Any other comments?
I'll just, as you said, Stories and Stones is Saturday the 16th. It's a pretty great event. There's a lot of information this year on this on City of Missoula's website. If you go to or just search for Missoula City Cemetery and go to there, there's a link you can actually get to, and it'll show you the featured speakers, the 18 speakers that'll be there this year. And also it gives you additional links to go to see videos of past stories, and then a whole list of other stories that are available in the guidebooks that maybe you'd like to participate, maybe you'd like to get involved with for next year. Jim's doing one. He'll be doing A.J. Gibson, I believe, yeah, so, yeah.
History conference is coming up end of September, on the 27th, I believe. Thursday, 27th, through the weekend, so if anybody's interested in that. Other than that, I don't know of any other events, but, okay. All right, nothing else, we'll adjourn the meeting.
Paul, you're on the cemetery board, right?
I am.
I think I just forgot that until, yeah, okay.
Like, do I need to join that?
Oh, you know what, no, just with my, I need to be a better steward on this